Beep, 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 boo. Hello there, you little demons. Jules here for WhatCulture.com, back again with another episode of the awesomely named and awfully hosted Choose Your Own Adventure, the weekly medieval themed format where I, the Crown Jules of WhatCulture.com, take a list chosen by you. Yes, you, the person who has just returned from Gamescom at the time of filming, and I'm so very tired. I'm so tired of playing video games. What a horrible problem to have. Yes, you get to decide what list I dole out to you each and every week, and this week we have none other to thank than Dark Story Edits and their suggestion of video game villains who became more villainous thanks to the actions of the heroes. Confused? Well, don't be, because I'm here to explain. Because today we're talking about 10 video game heroes who, no matter how awesome they are, all committed the cardinal sin of unintentionally giving the bad guy a leg up in their quest, whatever it might have been. With their good yet naive intentions or sheer carelessness, these heroes all helped the antagonist of their story reach the zenith of their villainy, in turn making their own mission to stop them all that more challenging. Oh, I tell you, making your life more difficult by getting in your own way. That sounds familiar. That sounds like Jules' entire life. Anyway, let's talk about it right now, as I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 8 video game heroes who accidentally made villains more evil. Number 8, Peter Parker, Spider-Man. Now, it's pretty obvious to everyone that Dr. Otto Octavius and his little penchant for building wiggly mecha arms probably wasn't going to go well. I mean, we've all read a comic book in our life, and even so, just look at the man. There's evil things are brewing, but for Peter Parker, he was just like, nah, I see the best in everyone. Hee hee, I'm having a good time, hee hee. Now, even if you can forgive by the sheer virtue of helping Dr. Octavius with his research that Peter effectively aided the birth of Doc Ock, mechanical tendrils and all, the rabbit hole does go a little bit deeper than that. Because at the start of the game, Peter shows up late to work just as Octavius's experimental limb fails spectacularly in front of a group of financiers, who in turn pull his funding. This then forces Octavius to seek financial assistance from the deeply shady AIM, as ultimately leads to his villainous downfall. So what I'm trying to say here is that if Peter had bloody well shown up on time, maybe none of this would have happened. Maybe as his assistant he would have been able to say, Doc, it's not ready yet, or better yet, let me tinker with it a few times, and whoosh, we've got a magic arm that can be controlled by your mind, little Wiggly Diggly over here. But no, instead we got Wiggly Deadly over here in the form of Dr. Octopus. Oh dear. Number 7, The Vault Hunter, Borderlands 2. Now, the very first Borderlands game ends rather disappointingly in a boss battle against the Destroyer, a boss battle that many remember as just being like, wow, this is the least deadly final boss ever, and is such a bullet sponge that you just standing there shooting. You're not doing anything. Is this gameplay? Is this gunplay? Is this game gun? Is this goom gam? Anyway, the sequel then goes on to reveal that the Destroyer's defeat caused a valuable mineral iridium to start materializing in the crust of the planet Pandora. This in turn causes the president of the Hyperion Corporation, Handsome Jack, to start mining all available iridium under the guise of making Pandora a better place. Yet ultimately, it just facilitates his transformation into an unrepentant corporate tyrant. Ah yes, money makes the world go round. Let me have a sip of my crude oil. That's crude. And so what the Vault Hunter has actually done is set in motion the events of the sequel, in which everything's worse for everyone. Because if you try and step out of line and speak back to Handsome Jack, you'll be doing so down the barrel of a gun, which will then blow your face off. It's a game where he pays you to top yourself. What do you expect? And this is all down to inadvertently triggering the discovery of iridium at the end of the first game, and basically teeing up Handsome Jack's rise to near unstoppable power. Cheers. Number 6, Jun Kazama, Tekken 3. So Tekken 2 ends with Jun Kazama giving birth to Jin, who was fathered by Kazuya Mishima, you know, one of the bad boys. And it makes you wonder, like, what does she actually see in him, you know? I mean, I know he's got a ripped bod and can do that weird sort of like spinny uppercut move, and maybe turns into a devil. When it counts, maybe. But at the end of the day, he's not a great conversationalist, is he? I mean, when he's not talking about destroying the world or taking it over, he's probably talking about training. It's like, what'd you get up to today over dinner? She's just like, what'd you get up to today? Oh, nothing much. Just dropped my dad into a volcano. Oh, that's nice. And trained for 18 hours. Yeah. Check, please. Anyway, by the time the third game rolls around, Jun senses the presence of the ancient monster Ogre and tells a teenage Jin to seek out his grandfather Heihachi if anything happens to her, and eventually Ogre indeed attacks Jun and seemingly kills her, prompting Jin to do as she instructed and find his grandpa, who agrees to train him. Except once Jin has triumphed over true Ogre at the end of the new King of Iron Fist tournament, Heihachi reveals his true colours, having his hit squad gun his grandson down before firing the killing bullet into his head himself. But here's where things get devilly, because this actually awakens the devil gene in Jin and he becomes a monster of truly frightening proportions. And this kickstarts a grandfather-grandson feud which has basically defined the entire Tekken series ever since. Had Jun sent Jin to literally anyone else or a close family friend, none of this would have happened. But no, instead she sent him to his granddad, who basically allowed him to carry on a series of abuses against his own family members. Sick! Number 5. Karg and Dark. Ark the Lad, Twilight of the Spirits. Now, Ark the Lad, Twilight of the Spirits is a game that proves beyond all shadow of a doubt that a good deed never goes unpunished, and even enforces this in quite brutal terms at the beginning of the game, because you're actually tasked with saving an old man from being attacked by squirrels, and if you don't, it's a bloody game over, mate. Now, this character, Zev, becomes a minor support character throughout the campaign, offering occasional aid to the player on their quest, until that he reveals near the end of the game that he's actually the Divine Ruler, a human who attained dark powers 3,000 years prior and is this series' overarching antagonist, the Lord of the Black Abyss. Moreover, Zeb reveals that he'd been manipulating the heroes the entire time, helping them acquire the magical Great Spirit Stones in order to then snatch them for himself and use their powers to once again become the Lord of the Black Abyss. It's never the ones you expect, is it? But at the same time, I've just got to hand it to those squirrels, right? Because they were battering him until you came along. Lord of the Dark Abyss? Lord had taken the piss, more like. Number 4, Batman Arkham. Now, I'm going to be talking about Mr. Freeze right now in this Batman entry, and I know there's probably a few Bat fans, Bat heads out there that are just going to be like, oh, Mr. Freeze isn't technically evil, he just wants to save his wife. But you know what, mate? There's commitment to your loved ones, and then there's doing a lot of shady shit that he does right there for one person, all right? He's definitely evil. After all, the man is shown to value his wife's survival above literally anything and everything else, freely allowing others to die in the pursuit of a cure for her rare disease. And ultimately, Batman gives the guy way too much sympathetic rope throughout the franchise, effectively enabling his single-minded mission to deny his wife's impending demise and, kind of just play God. Freeze pulls the dying wife card a comical number of times throughout the Arkham franchise, having made it his entire personality in the process. And perhaps in his most dickish of moves, in Arkham City, Mr. Freeze takes a cure for a poison that is flowing through Batman's veins and crushes it right in front of him before saying, I actually do have another, but you've got to rescue my wife from the Joker first. And Batman's just like, bruh, all the slack I've given you here, and you're doing this to me now. Off the Christmas card list. Off it right there. There's desperation to save a loved one, and then there's whatever the fresh hell that nonsense was. Maybe just give Batman the cure up front and trust that this heroic guy in the Bat costume will do his heroic thing and save your wife from his most infamous enemy. Yeesh. Number 3, Link, The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker. Now, in The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker, Link, as is pretty much commonplace for the entire franchise, is given one quest above all else, and that is to just smash Ganondorf right in his chops. And usually, he has to do so with the Master Sword, so of course, in The Wind Waker, you gotta go find it first. And midway through the game, Link indeed obtains said sword, removing it from a pedestal. But when Link then returns to the Forsaken Fortress to take Ganondorf on, he learns that he actually just did him a huge bloody favour. You see, Ganondorf reveals that by pulling the Master Sword from its pedestal, it not only freed his frozen in time minions, but also broke the seal which had been keeping Ganondorf and his magic under control. And to rub further salt in the wound, he then tells you that the Master Sword has lost its power and is effectively functionally useless for fighting him with now. Well, at least in its current form. And as a result, Link spends basically 99% of the rest of the time in the game trying to power this thing back up. So yeah, you not only have made the bad guy even more powerful and unlocked all of his minions, but you've also just given yourself an absolute headache in the form of busy work, just charging your Wiimote over and over and over again. However, However, you do get to give Ganondorf one of the most brutal cel-shaded deaths in Nintendo history. So that's pretty good. Number 2, the hacker, System Shock. So mere minutes into System Shock, you, as the player-controlled character, will make a decision that, well, let's face it, anyone who's living in the current age of AI weirdness will know, it was a terrible decision. A terrible, terrible decision. After being caught hacking at the start of the game, the player is brought before Executive Edward Diego and tasked with hacking Shodan, the AI controlling Citadel station, in exchange for all hacking charges against them being dropped and the promise of being fitted with some nifty neural implants. Once you hack into Shodan, Diego then asks you to remove the AI's ethical constraints, calling them an issue. Ooh, a corporation saying that ethics are an issue. Is this too close to real life for me to stop doing the robot? No, it's not, apparently. And gee, who could have possibly foreseen that when the player subsequently emerges from their 6-month healing coma, the now insane Shodan has taken full control of the station. And more to the point, they've also reprogrammed all of the station's robots and amassed an army of cyborgs to kill you. I bet you when you woke up, you were like, oh yeah, that's my bad. Oh boy, I sure hope that no one makes a video game about all of that. Oh no. And number 1, Harry Mason, Silent Hill. Now in the original Silent Hill, protagonist Harry Mason seems like a pretty decent enough sort at first. He's just looking for the missing Cheryl, but unfortunately, he ends up falling prey and becoming a pawn of a local cult. Typical, right? Harry eventually encounters Dahlia, who claims to want to help him get rid of the darkness pervading throughout Silent Hill. She tasks Harry with stopping the Mark of Samael from being inscribed across town, telling him that if he can't stop Alessa from completing the 5 marks, Silent Hill will be forever plunged into darkness. Yet it's revealed much later on in the game that she was a liar, because it turned out that all the seals you were breaking were actually the seals of Metatron, that is not a Transformer, even though definitely should be, but those seals were protecting the town from said darkness. Furthermore, she sent Harry on this mission to bring Alessa, her daughter, back to her so that she could use her as a vessel to give birth to the god that she and her cult worships. So yeah, Harry's probably not going to be feeling pretty good about his choices here, and especially you, the player, will also feel the same pinch when you look at all the endings and they are just, well, different shades of grim. Thank you, Harry. In fact, the UFO ending's probably the only one that actually has some levity to it. Cool. And there we go, my friends. Those were 10 video game heroes that accidentally made villains more evil. I hope that you enjoyed that, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comment section below, as well as your suggestions for next week's episode. As always, I've been Jules. I hope that you are treating yourself well, and if you want to follow me further, you can do so over on the social medias here. Big love to you. Hope you're treating yourself well, and remember, above all else, that you are a massive ledge and you deserve the bloody best, all right? I will speak to you next week after I've gone away for a tiny little holiday to get away from all of the tech that's around me. I'm literally going to a place where there's no Wi-Fi and no internet, and I'm loving the idea of that. So take care of yourselves in the meantime, and I'll see you soon. Little kiss on the head for you. Bye.